What is the biggest Benny of work? I mean, obviously you got to ride a lot of things, right? You got to ride a lot. What were some of the how do I put it? What were a few? Because you worked there for what, 2 years, Cycle World?
Yes.
What were some of the big that's on the all-star team of sweet bikes the last couple of years? You know what I mean? Some that stick out that kind of stay with you.
Bikes or events or?
I would say, I mean, either or. What are some of the most memorable things? Because I know you get to travel in, what was it, Qatar or something like that? You got to ride the new Super Duke.
Yep. I did get to do that. I mean, there's the list really does go on. There was this time, so we did
I love how you lean back and you're just
dude, I just
you kind of coil up. Yeah, oh geez, where do I begin?
I mean,
my goodness.
I also don't like being that guy that I don't want to talk about. This is so I got to do this, and they're just experiences, and I feel very fortunate. But
you're a humble man, but indulge me.
So there was this. They did a ride event for the KTM 1290 Super Adventure R.
Oh yeah.
In Peru.
That's a sweet bike.
And so they flew us down to Peru, and they basically drove us down into the middle of the desert out there. And a beautiful resort, on the water. I mean, just loving life. Everything's great.
All paid for.
Yeah. So the manufacturer sets everything up. They set up this experience, and then they bring you in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, so the next day we're with, I'm going to draw a blank on his name right now just because I'm not an off-road guy. I think it's Chris Birch. Just this incredible rider.
One of their factory dudes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's raced a car, all that stuff. Just a gnarly guy.
Right.
And there's a group of 3 of us, which is an awesome part about the job. He's you're always riding with buddies.
That's cool.
It's just you and your buddies out riding. So we get out into these sand dunes in the middle of Peru, and he pulls up to the side of the road, and he's points out into the open desert, and he's just I'm gonna cut out there. Don't worry about following me. You'll see my dust. Just go have fun.
That's sweet.
And so this group of 4 with him leading, it's just all our buddies, and we're just cutting through the middle of the Peruvian desert in the middle of nowhere on this motorcycle with 160 horsepower, knobbies on it, and you're just
the best that manufacturer has to offer.
Yeah, and you're just this is the greatest day of life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean there's a lot of fantastic experiences, but something about being out there in the middle of nowhere with your friends riding motorcycles.
That's cool.
That, and that's what motorcycling is. You don't have to have that job. That's the best part about it. You don't have to be an editor to go do that. I have an Africa Twin and go out play in the middle of the desert with my friends whenever. But that's motorcycling, and that was the pinnacle of it for sure.
Yeah.
But that was a freaking beautiful experience.
Yeah, there's no better way to get through LA than it solves the traffic problem in LA.
It does.
It's not even it helps. It solves it.
Yeah.
I take a bike every day to work. Right now I'm going all the way across LA to Inglewood.
Yep.
I get 4 times the gas mileage in my truck. Granted,
a
truck has a V10, but that's small details.
And the air conditioning thing. That's the only thing.
Yeah. This last month in LA sucked. You're just sweating.
This is going to be worth it in the end. It is.
Dude, 4 times the gas money. Insurance is half the cost. It's fun. And I'm telling you, it's worth it.
I mean, motorcycles open up your world, right?
It's a whole other dimension of the road.
Well, yeah, it's if I wake up on a Saturday or something and I'm oh, I'd love to go out to this beach out in Malibu or something, right? It'd be so cool. But I'm not gonna drive my car out there.
Right.
Are you kidding me? So if I just had a car, I'm just gonna car's gonna stay parked and I'm gonna sit in my house all day.
Right.
But oh, hey, I got the bike. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do that, right? It opens the door to so many more things and activities, and it opens up the world for you, I think. And
no,
I'm bummed that people don't get to experience that, man. People who don't ride motorcycles.
I don't know how.
There's this whole world out there.
I know, dude.
This whole world.
Dude, I totally get you. And you tell them oh, dude, I'll teach you everything. Whatever, my buddy's got a little TTR 120 or whatever. Just come out and I'll teach you how to ride.
Yeah.
And they're it's dangerous though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I think one of one of the times where I really realized that, so I had Grom. So I did this crazy, kind of silly story at the time for Cycle World about off-road riding Groms.
Oh, dude, I think I saw that.
So it was this like silly idea, and it like started as one thing and turned into another, as stories almost always do. But like, long story short, I ended up having 2 Groms at the house with these like dual sport tires.
Mm-hmm.
They're like basically a street tire with like a millimeter of knob to it.
Right. And for people that don't know, you're maxing at what, 50? 52,
Yeah, no,
53?
I mean, downhill you're doing a lot better than that. You know,
Downhill,
yeah,
wind on your
you
side.
you might do like 60, 62 or something.
Yeah.
Like
Pinned.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so I had these at the house, and this was when I was living with my buddy, and so like we woke up one morning, and we're like, dude, let's take the Groms out to El Mirage, which is a kind of small local like riding area and like dry lake bed, just like silly nothing. It's an hour drive or something, and we like picked the bikes up. Like we didn't have a ramp at the house. We picked the bikes up, loaded them in the truck. We didn't have to take fuel jugs. We just like filled the bikes up in the back of the truck when we like rolled through the gas station, because they'll like run for 2 years on a tank of gas.
Right.
And we like,
it's true.
we had like work boots, like little jackets, but like not like full riding gear. Like it was just like, let's go out there. We had helmets and dirt bike gloves, right? So like bare minimum. Bare minimum. And we like rolled out to the desert, and we literally pick it out of the truck, and we go rip around the desert for 2 hours on these like very inexpensive small displacement
that'll run
basic
forever.
Yeah. And like we were literally laughing.
Oh, dude.
Like the biggest ear to ear grin, laughing so hard. It was like the most fun I've had, and it's just like in its simplest form. Like,
I love how 10 minutes ago you told me, dude, we were in Peru on this full paid bitchin' like hotel on the water, and these $20,000 bikes, and they have 160 horsepower, which people that don't ride is a ton for 2 wheels. 160 horsepower, all these gizmos, electronics, and you're just going through the dunes. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, hey, we got these like $4,000 bikes that like can barely go 50, and they're like super small. You can just like pick them up out of the truck, and we can't stop smiling. I love that. You know what I mean? There's, I mean, granted, like, look at, if you're gonna give me one, you know what I mean?
You'll take the KTM 1290. No, but like that's
the essence, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's honestly what motorcycling started as, really, right? Like it was these ways of kind of disconnecting and just a small, like, go out and have fun. Like, especially like we work on so many Honda projects this year with the new Honda Monkey, which is Grom based, you know, kind of retro styling. And you look at back in when Honda first started bringing these bikes over, and it was like just kids going out and riding. Like they brought these things over, and with the Super Cub, it was, you know, like college students just getting around town, but like it was just
like inexpensive, like no bullshit.
Yeah, just like get out and go have some fun, or like get around town easier. Like
totally.
It didn't have to be high horsepower like this, that, and all every technology. It's just like and I think this is actually probably why motorcycles are such a hit. Like you feel everything when you're on it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in the elements. You feel the wind. You feel everything. You're engaged,
totally.
Right? So like, and that's what motorcycling is. And like, you don't need 160 horsepower to do that.
Right.
Like you're just moving and you feel everything.
Wind on your face. Nature. You can smell everything.
Yeah. And
that's the way I try to explain it to, you know, like, I'm not trying to be like sexist, but it's happened the most with women from my experience when they're, you know, that you try to explain it to them. I go, imagine riding through the sequoias and you can just smell the trees. You see an animal, it's right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is times 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You mean like versus being in a car and like having
being
the windows rolled up and like
being
the music turned on. You're like
cruising down the street in a Chrysler LeBaron versus on your Honda Africa Twin, which is a sweet bike, dude. Yeah. Sweet bike. But no, for sure. I totally agree. And we need to get more people on bikes.
That's the thing. It's like, and I guess that's maybe was the point of the story. It's like it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Like,
like 30 years ago, everybody had the mini bike in the backyard.
Yeah.
That like all the neighborhood kids would just put on from time to time. That's not like that anymore.
No, and like it doesn't mean you have to like go and buy a motorcycle and commute on it every day and like be a motorcyclist. Like just support it and understand it. I think once you've ridden a bike and you kind of get it, then you're more supportive of the industry as a whole. Like then when your, you know, nephew comes over and is like, hey, like I'm riding a motorcycle now. You're not like, oh, those are death traps. So you're like,
right.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. That's cool. Like I wish people understood that more, right?
I get that. So okay, last thing,
love motorcycles, people. Love motorcycles.
Love them.